Thank you very much for being here this evening. I recognize most faces, but we want to have a very special welcome for our friends from Lakeside. Thank you for being here tonight. We are in for a treat tonight. My good friend and mentor in some ways through the coaching ranks, Eddie Pomykala, is here tonight from Bishop's University. And Eddie is going to talk to us tonight about generalities of how the Canadian College Landscape looks and what that process looks like. But obviously being here from Bishops and representing the school, we're going to talk to you a little bit more specifically about that one particular school as well. So Eddie, thank you for making the trip down and bearing the storm and making your way to us. So
Sure.
thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks a lot, Pete. That's like the second best introduction I've received in a week. I have to tell you that I spoke at an event very similar to this one a week ago in Canada, and the person that was supposed to introduce me forgot to show up. So I had to introduce myself, and I made up a lot of things. But I really appreciate being here, and my wife Heather, who's sitting back there, appreciates being here in this lovely library at a great school. And Peter is somebody that I recruited when I would coach basketball. My background is a basketball coach. I coached 30 years in college, so I spent 30 years yelling and cursing. Tonight I'm going to do neither of those things. I'm very happy to talk to you and to give you a different perspective, something that you probably never even thought about. And so it's kind of, I give you a lot of credit for coming because it shows me that you are flexible and that you are curious. Two things that you're going to really need no matter where you go to school, no matter what you study. But to be curious and to be flexible are two things your generation needs because you're completely different than my generation. My generation was, we studied this, we became this, we worked at that job for 30 years, and then we got a pension. That's not going to happen for you. You have to be flexible. You have to learn how to be, a little bit more competitive maybe than other people in terms of why is somebody going to accept you into college? Why is somebody going to give you a job one day? And you know what? It's not because of what you're going to read in your textbook on page 237. It's going to be because of all the things that you do outside of the classroom that form you as a person along with what you are studying. So being flexible, not being afraid to take a chance, following your passion, those are things that are so important. I want to tell you a little bit about coming here. My wife and I drove, it's an 18-hour drive to come from where we live, which is just outside the Vermont border, to here. And we went smack dab right into the bullseye of Storm Jonas. And we were 2 nights, maybe Pete can show some evidence. We were 2 nights in Winchester, Virginia, that had the most snowfall of the eastern snowboard.
My evidence isn't cooperating. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to try this a different way.
Okay, maybe I should just keep talking.
I'll keep talking and I'll pull it up.
Okay,
I promise.
so anyhow, but I want to tell you a little bit of a story. We were at a hotel at a Best Western. The hotel was not the most expensive hotel we could stay in. The hotel was not the top brand. Surely there's other brands. I will tell you this, that's our car. That's our car, and that was...
there you go.
Yeah, that's our car, and that was... a few hours later, it was the snow was twice that. The snow was right on top of over there. So
You like that one?
that's me outside my hotel room saying, "Virginia, please stop." And it actually stopped Saturday night at 8 o'clock, and we left the next day. So, but my point is this: we didn't stay in the most expensive hotel, and we didn't stay at the top brand of hotels. You know what? We were comfortable. And it fit us, and we left with a great experience. We were taken care of by people that were there. The National Guard was headquartered there. There was 75 National Guard. We had a nice Perkins restaurant right next door, and we were able to kind of enjoy 2 nights, and we said, let's make the best of it. And we came here, there's no snow, we're going to Florida. where it's going to be nice. And so it's kind of nice to be able to enjoy those things. But think about what I told you. It wasn't the most expensive, and it wasn't the top brand, and we had a great experience. And that's my message to you. That very big message to you is it's about fit. It's about fit, not always brand. We are very brand conscious, but your goal should not be about getting into a school. Your goal should be to succeed at the school you choose to go to. Because getting into a school, there's kids that leave after 1 week. Okay? It's about fit, and it's about, is this place really for me? And will I fit in here, and can I really accomplish something? So let's talk about Canada, where I was born, where Peter was born, and we are your neighbor, we're your cousin, we're friendly, and I'm going to give you a little bit of perspective. So Pete, maybe we can start. So this is our country, which is twice the size of the United States in terms of area, but we have a tenth of your population. We have 36 million people. This is where Mr. Eustace comes from, St. John, New Brunswick, right there. And my wife Heather and I live right over here in Quebec. We're 39 miles from the Vermont border, so it's very much like New England. Most of the people in Canada live in the southernmost part of the country. That's where the most inhabitants are. That's probably warmer. Whereas, we do wear coats, hats, boots, scarves in the winter. We embrace the seasons. I'm 58 years old and I'm still standing, and yeah, I go through cold weather. It's a reality that we deal with, and it's fun for us. So that's a little bit about the country. Why study in Canada? Because the qualifications are valued around the world. It's an affordable education. We'll talk about that. It's a multicultural society. At our school, as an example, we have a small school of 2,400 students. We have kids that come from 60 different countries. So it's pretty rich that way. Healthy and safe communities, that is something that we're very, very proud of. Like in the US, you've got exciting campus lifestyles. There's a lot of research opportunities, and there's the possibility of immigration. And we don't sell this, we don't tell people they have to do it, but the students that come to our school and anybody in Quebec can stay in Canada for up to 3 years after they graduate to either work or look for employment. And so now you have 2 countries that you can find employment in, and that's pretty good. That makes some sense to me. So we can go on, and this just kind of gives you a sense of some of the cities. I don't know if you heard of Montreal, where I was born, Toronto, which is the 5th largest city in North America, Vancouver, which is on the island, there's Ottawa, our nation's capital, and Halifax, Nova Scotia. So there's just a completely different style. And then we're in the country. We're a rural school located 5 minutes from the city. We have the best of both worlds. We have mountains, lakes, and rivers. And then 5 minutes away, 5 miles away, is a city of 157,000 people. So our students really get a good mix and match. So, but if you're a big city person and you want to be anonymous, you probably wouldn't consider our school. You would go to a school like University of Toronto that has 60,000 students, University of British Columbia that has 60,000 students, McGill in Montreal, 36,000 students. Those are some of the populations. Okay, we can move on then. Oh wait, can we just maybe go back to why study in Canada? Schools in Canada are funded by the government. We are 99% public. All our brand schools are public. They cost the same. There is not much of a difference between costs. If you can imagine University of Georgia and Sewanee College costing the same. That's Canada. Okay, the cost is the same. It's subsidized by the taxpayer, by the government. It's regulated by the government. It ensures a very high level of education. It is hard. You have to prepare yourself with a rigorous high school curriculum to succeed. 90s are not given out a lot in Canada, and actually, if you are an 80% student in high school, you're a very good student. And I know that 80 here is probably not the same benchmark. So it's, like I said, it's a top quality education at an incredible price, and we will talk about that a little bit later. Part of, I think, why you may want to consider going to another country when you have 5,000 colleges, up to 5,000 colleges here in the United States, and you have wonderful schools, and so many different types. There is a school for everybody. There is a school for everybody. Like nobody here should have any anxiety about that they're going to be, you know, what school am I going to be in? You are going to be at a great college at some point. Okay, we've got 100 schools to choose from. You've got 5,000. That's an amazing choice. But why you want to consider us maybe is globalizing your education, becoming you know, a global citizen, and that's your world as well. My youngest stepson graduated from our school, went to a prestigious grad school, and went to China for 1 semester to study economics. And it is him going to China to study economics for 1 semester that made the biggest difference to any job interview he went to. They didn't talk to him about his undergrad, they didn't talk to him about his grad school. They said, tell us about China. See, it's those type of things that you do outside of your education that really make a difference. And the fact that he went to China, that fact alone made him different than the people sitting next to him. And when he went for a job interview, that was something that he can talk to about. Okay, so it makes yourself a little bit marketable. Now the admissions process and the application process. Very simple. This year, our school became test optional. It's something I've been fighting for the last 6 years. So SAT and ACT, not required. Required in some schools. No essay at all, no interview. For better or for worse, schools in Canada, it's your grades that matter, and your grades from grade 11 and grade 12. So if you did poorly in grade 9 and 10, but there's an upswing for 11 and 12, we like to see upward progression, and that's important. So most Canadian schools are like that. They look at grades 11 and 12. They don't require testing. They look at your grades. They look at your courses, your curriculum, what school. We love AP, anything advanced placement. We love that. We will give you credit for, or international baccalaureate. We love those students too. But academic achievement is typically the key admissions. So everything varies from one school to another. You apply to the school online. There's only one school on Common App in Canada right now, University of British Columbia. We hope to be the second school to be on Common App next year. So most schools are not, but you can apply online. And the admission decisions are normally made on a rolling basis. That means once we get your application, usually within 3 weeks we can give you an answer if everything is in your file and we're satisfied with that. We don't do early action, we don't do early decision. Those are concepts that do not exist in Canada. Canadian kids typically apply anywhere from 2 to 3 schools. That's it. They know that if they have these grades, they will get into that school, into that program. It's cut and dry. It's pretty simple. The finances. Extremely affordable tuition. Because the schools are public, because they're subsidized by the government, Canada gives the highest level of funding to post-secondary education of any country in the world, in terms of that's from the taxpayers, and that's why it's pretty affordable. If you are an American citizen and you come to our school, your tuition would be about 12,000 American dollars. And that is, for a school that in the United States would be 50,000. 12,000, it's not a gimmick. And our residents would be, with your meals, everything else would be another $5,000, $6,000. You can do tuition, fees, room and board, books, spending money today for $20,000 US. Your dollar is so much stronger right now than ours. Right now, if I went to a bank and I said, I want to buy 100 United States dollars. So I went to a bank in Canada and I want to buy 100 United States dollars. I would have to pay 147 Canadian dollars. So on the flip side, if you went to a bank and you gave the money, you wouldn't be getting that same exchange rate. It works a little bit differently. You would get 39 cents on every dollar. So on $1,000, you would get another 390. And that's why I say every student in this room would get a scholarship just by walking into your local bank and exchanging money. And that's the truth. So it's very, very affordable. We do offer scholarships to U.S. students. You can work on campus, which as a Canadian, I would not be able to work at an American campus, but the flip side is true. If you come up with the visas you would get, you would be allowed to work the first day up to 20 hours a week on campus or off campus. You can apply for loans through FAFSA, which is your federal body for student loans. Grants do not cross over to Canada, but loans do. So that's one way to afford your education. So there are employment opportunities. Like I said, you can work on campus. That's many hours you can work. We have programs that help students, and so that's a way to this is a bit tricky. This is one of the challenges. You need a visa, number one, to cross the border. Things have changed a lot in the last 2 decades, and you need a visa to travel anywhere now. So number one, you need a visa. Number two, you need study permits. So at our school, you would need two. You need a Quebec permit and a Canadian permit. The Canadian permit is easy. You get it the day you arrive. You're at the border. You show them your admissions, and you pay a small fee, and you get that permit. The Quebec permit, it's paper-based. It takes about 6 to 8 weeks to process. So once you figure out that, yes, I want to go to school in Canada, and around May you make that decision, you've got 6 to 8 weeks to do the paperwork. You will get your visa, and that will allow you to study, to work, and to stay in the country for up to 3 years upon graduation. Not a bad deal. And I'm not allowed by law to talk about the study permits, and that's why they do this. So,
We'll move on then.
Sure. Student services, our American students do not feel any different than the Canadian kids that are there. There's one basic difference between us and you. We say A and you say y'all. That's it. That's the biggest difference. They look like you, they dress like you, they talk like you, and that's the basic thing. So we take care of our students. We give them counseling. They get help with a lot of different things. There's airport pickups in certain schools. I'm going to speak about medical clinics and about health plans. There's academic advising, orientation. We do require American students to buy a health plan when they come up. And you may have heard that health services in Canada are very, very affordable as well. It costs about $800 Canadian, which is about $550 US to cover you completely for a whole year. So that's another advantage of our health plan. So that's a general overview of studying in Canada. Would anybody have any, I hope that we do a good question and answer period, but yes?
Well, when they apply, are they applying into a certain school or program?
They are applying to school into a program.
Okay.
And you have to apply into something. You cannot be undeclared although we will give you 2 years to make a decision what you want to do eventually. So as opposed to in the United States, you can be undeclared. In Canada, they'll say, well, apply to something and take courses, and then you have up to 2 years to figure out what it is that you would like to do.
So if a student's applying into like science or pre-med or, is that going to be more selective than another, or are they all?
It could. There are certain programs, depending school to school,
Right.
that are more selective, that are over, like as an example, at our school, business is the highest subscribed program. It's just because everybody thinks that if they take business, they're going to get rich one day. That's what some people think. And we all know that business people don't all have business degrees. But anyhow, teaching, nursing, those are all quota programs that are government regulated. You can't just let anybody become a teacher or a nurse or whatever, so those are regulated. So it does depend at school, depending on the popularity of the program.
So would that be, like teaching, for instance, with it being a quota, that's where a student really needs to demonstrate their interest in that profession so that
Yes, and
it's a legitimate interest?
yeah, and there's got to be something in their background that would suggest that you're suitable for the teaching. And I will tell you this: every state and every jurisdiction have their own laws and their own regulations as to who can become a teacher. At Bishop's, we can help you. We will give you will get a degree in education. However, then when you go back to the United States to teach, which we have our alums teaching in the United States, you will have to satisfy those regulations. That could be taking a course, it could be writing a test, all the while you are able to teach. Any other general questions? And maybe we can get specific. Yes?
What's the athletic life like on campus?
Great question. Thanks for asking that. There is one division in Canada. There's only one. So, because we have 27 schools in all of Canada that play football. We have 45 schools in Canada that play college basketball. So that kind of shows you that. So there's varsity athletics. They do offer scholarships. It is scaled down. It's an educational model. It is not a business model. We have nothing like University of Georgia football. Okay, nothing. With stadiums with so many people, our professional teams seat 25 to 30,000. Okay, so at our games, like we're a small school, we have 2,400 students. We will get 2,000 fans at our game. There's schools that are larger. They may get that too. It's a little bit different. So we do offer scholarships. We have intramurals. We have club teams. There's something for everybody. What we're really proud of at our school, and what Mr. Hustis has not experienced, is we just built a $32 million new sports center. It's in addition to what was a beautiful sports center already, and it's state-of-the-art, so we're pretty proud of that. It's a very good question, though, because, can I get a scholarship? Yes. Can I participate? Yeah. We don't have every sport, but there's... Yeah. Oh, and here's another neat fact. Our school year starts in September, like yours, but it ends at the end of April. So you have 4 months. You have an additional month to work, to go back to family, to do something else. To go to spring school, to go to summer school. So there's another thing. Any other questions about generally studying in Canada? So can I talk to you about our school, about Bishop's, where I've been associated for 32 years. I was a basketball coach there for 24. I worked in recruitment and admissions for 3 years. I retired. I worked part-time. I left that. I became a consultant, same job, same place, same school, and I've been there for 32 years. And I didn't want to go to our school. I was born in Montreal. I got a coaching job at the age of 21 at McGill University. A lot of people know McGill. It's our Harvard. I coached there. I was an assistant for 4 years. I was a head coach my 5th year, 25 years old. We won a championship. I thought Montreal was just the greatest city in the world. McGill was the only place that anybody should consider. And then I got an interesting offer at Bishop's to come and to be a full-time coach. And I didn't want to go because it was small. I didn't know anybody, and I thought it'd be boring. 32 years later, I'm still speaking about the school and wearing purple, which is our color, and we're a little bit over the top about the purple, and that's why those books that you have say bleed purple. And I want to tell you a little bit about that. It's a really interesting marketing program that our students came up with, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. Our students dress up in purple all the time. That's all you see on our campus. And so they decided to have this marketing campaign about bleeding purple because it's in our blood. And so they decided, hey, let's do something where we're going to donate blood on campus. And they did that right after orientation week. And that particular Friday, I think it was the second Friday of September, our alumni all across Canada in every major city had a blood drive as well. So we connected alumni, students, and social responsibility. So we say it and we prove it. That's about Bleed Purple. So just to tell you a little bit about us, again, we're small, 2,400 students. We're located 90 miles south of Montreal. It is, there's a lot of cities there. That's us over here, and here's Vermont. We're right on the border. We're 4 hours north of Boston, 6 hours north of New York City. So that kind of gives you a perspective. Our Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine friends are neighbors, and that's where I do most of my recruiting from. So that's where we're located. It's in ski country. Y'all might not be skiers here, but you may learn. You may learn how to throw snowballs, how to go snowboarding, how to do all those things. There's nine ski hills within an hour and 20 minutes of campus. What programs do we offer? We offer business, we offer sciences, arts, humanities, education, but our students do combinations. There's a lot of traffic between the disciplines. We don't call it liberal arts, we call it liberal. It's a liberal education, and we really mean it. I'll give you a great example of a young lady I recruited from Vermont about 6 years ago. She took a double major. She studied English and biology, two things not connected to each other. It must have drove her parents crazy, okay? Because what are you going to do with this degree? English and biology. She loved to sing. She sang in our choir. We have a lovely choir. It's composed of staff, faculty, community members, and students. And I love it. And so she sang in the choir, and she minored in music. So there's three things now: English, biology, and music. So what did she do? She went to Boston and into law school, graduated as a lawyer, and today she's a lawyer in Andover, Massachusetts. But she learned how to think logically and sequentially. That's what biology is. It's either right or wrong, the answer, okay? She learned how to communicate, English. So important, your communication skills. And then the third thing, she was creative, music. It was her passion. Now that's an interesting person, and if I'm an employer, I want to sit down, I want to talk to that person, because they learned how to think. And they didn't memorize, but they really, really learned how to think. So at Bishop's, we really try to incorporate all the disciplines. We encourage our students to take a lot of different things. And I know, Pete, I'm not following anything.
Okay. I didn't expect you to, so I'm just skipping around.
So I talked to you about the price. I talked to you about that it's very affordable. But I will tell you now 5 things, no matter what school you go to, that I think should be part of your studies or your whole program as a student. I think this is like super, super important in terms of, it should comprise your education, ability to do research. You should be able to go somewhere and learn how to do research with a professor, connect with a professor and be able to do that. Ability to do internships. An internship is working along with a company, perhaps, and to be experiential in your learning. Ability to do co-ops, and that's more for business people, where you earn money and credit, while you are studying and working together. Studying abroad, going away. We have a program that involves 36 countries, 500 universities, and we have more spots than students for going away. And typically, about 10% of our student body goes away every year. So it's something to consider. You don't have to do that. And then volunteering. So if going to school, if all you're going to do is read a book, you don't get it. You have got to be able to do some research. You've got to do some internships. You've got to do some volunteering. A co-op maybe go abroad. You're already going abroad if you go to Canada. I get that. Okay, I get that. And then volunteering. So important to put that down on your curriculum vitae because of all the kids that are here. Everybody here, I think, is going to have a degree one day. And the question is, why you? Why will somebody choose me? And it's those 5 things that I really talk about. So what are employers looking for? What are they looking for, okay? Employers, and eventually, they look for fresh ideas. People who have fresh ideas. People who have confidence to be adaptable, not to be rigid. Don't just put yourself in a box, but be flexible. Good judgment. You need good judgment. That's formed with your education, with your family values, and the things that you do outside. Problem-solving skills. Ability to work on a team, ability to work alone. Very, very important. Communication skills and creativity. That's what employers look for. So, gear your education towards that. Take courses that are going to help you become a problem solver. They're going to help you become a communicator. They're going to help you be able to work in a group. Choose those kind of programs. Choose those kinds of schools. That's what we think we do. I coached for 24 years at Bishop's University, and I helped 125 players get their degrees some way or another. And I will tell you this, that half of my players today are employed in something completely different than what they studied. I've got a guy that took physics, and he is a lawyer in Manhattan today. I have another guy that took history, and he's also Canada's top expert in law and democracy. I have another fellow who took geography. He's CEO of his own company. He stocks every major Fairmont hotel in North America with mini bar soaps and shampoos. Another one of my guys that I just heard from, majored in sociology, criminology, and women's studies. And today he's CEO of his own company. He goes all over South America, China, and United States, and he brands high-end cigars. And so sociology to cigars, it's amazing. Again, my message to you, be curious, be flexible. There is no such thing as the great college. It does not exist. What exists is the great college for me. It's about fit. Go visit schools if you can. Sit in a classroom and say, can I make it here? Does this work for me? Talk to the kids there, and just get on their websites and see what the students are saying about their own experience. So that's our campus. It's rural. That's the chapel that my wife and I got married in, by the way, about 23 years ago. We're non-denominational. We're non-denominational. All faiths are welcome at our school. And we've got residences right on campus. Everything is about 5 minutes away. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the things that we've achieved in the last few years. So Pete, maybe we can actually go back to some of those things. So Maclean's magazine is like Time magazine in the United States, and they have these rankings. I don't put a lot of stock in rankings, to be honest with you, because rankings are, you know what, people can measure things the way they want, they can shift things. I think it's about the personal student experience as opposed to rankings, but if enough people say it, it might be true. So we were voting first in quality of instructors, first for residence living, first in student satisfaction. This is super, super important. Fifth, in obtaining employment skills, and I know what you're thinking, you want to know what those other 4 schools are, I won't tell you. Second, for extracurricular activities, and second, for professors who know your name. I think it's so important that you develop a relationship with it, that you can, because you know what? If a professor knows your name, and you know that professor's name, chances are you're going to learn more, you're going to want to be involved in research, in internships, and all those things. So I guess in North America, they have the NSSE, National Survey on Student Engagement, and we placed in the top % things like collaborative learning, quality of interaction with each other, supportive environment, student-faculty interaction, and higher order learning. I don't know what that means, okay? But I know it's good, like it's, we did something well there. Okay, next. Again, it's about the student experience, and it doesn't matter, and it's not at our school, it's any school, and that's your job. It's your job to to find the fit and to ask the right questions. Do you know what the absolute worst question to ask a college recruiter? What's your student-teacher ratio? It's a lie. It's like, I would never ask that question, because ask them how big their classrooms are. What's the size of your classrooms? And then you will know, because some schools will take their professors, their part-time professors, their, and then they'll put all that, and they'll give you statistics. At our school, we have one classroom that seats 139. We have another classroom that seats 89, and all the rest seat 40 or less. Then you'll know. In first year, your classes will be a little bit bigger. In second, third, and fourth year, they get a lot smaller. That's the more appropriate question to ask, is how big are your classes? And then you'll know. And be careful, because at some brand schools, you might find yourself sitting in a class with 1,000 kids. And you might be able to learn in that situation if you are very independent, and you need to be very, very independent to be able to learn in a class of 1,000. Maybe you need to be in a class of 30 where the professor knows your name, you know the professor's name, and you can go talk to them. It's not one equation for all. So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about schools in Canada, maybe our school. I do not for 1 second think that we are the school that everybody here has got to rush to, but we are an option. And consider Canada, because Canada is affordable, it's high quality, it's not that far. I guess you would fly from Atlanta. Would that be it? So that's a 2-hour flight, and then to our school, that's another 2-hour bus ride. So that's not that far. There's schools in the U.S. that you would consider that are much, much farther than 4 hours. So it's, there's a lot of good reasons for you to maybe consider. And in terms of at our school, I will tell you that it's a very friendly environment for a place that 32 years ago I did not want to go to. I just won't leave. So even in retirement. So let's open it up. Let me answer some questions. Maybe we can turn that off. And, anybody? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you go first, and then I'll get to her.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit more about studying abroad? So students go for like a semester, or do you go during the summer?
You can go during 1 of 2 semesters. You can go for a year or half a year. We suggest half a year, because when you study abroad, you do not get grades. You get either pass or fail. And pass or fail is not, when you want to go eventually to grad school, they don't want to see too many pass or fail. They want to see numbers.
Right. Okay, and then also, so you go for a specific, for your program, you would go on a specific study abroad trip?
You could do that, or you can take courses that would satisfy your electives. Okay, if you folks know, your college counselors will help you with this. A college degree is comprised, undergraduate, of 40 courses. A major, usually, is 16 courses. A minor is 8 courses. So you can do a double major, 16, 16, and a minor of 8. Or you can do 1 major and maybe 3 minors. Or It's really up to you. It depends the school that you're going to. You had a question.
How many students live on campus, like for all 4 years?
At our school, it's a trick question, but it's a great one. At our school, every freshman is offered the ability to live in residence. And we have box-style rooms where you share a bathroom with a person in another single room. So single room, bathroom, single room, same sex. Okay? Or you have traditional where you have 2 people in a room and the bathroom and the showers are down the hall. Or for upper year students, we have apartment suites style where it's 4 kids living in a room that has a kitchen. So usually 750 students at our school stay on campus, and then they move off a 5-minute walk from campus because apartments are so affordable. They cost anywhere, I'm quoting in Canadian dollars, $250 to $400 a month per person. Canadian, which is a lot less. And kids like their independence. They like their independence, and it's more affordable. So that's what they do. They live a 5 to 10 minute walk. At our school, 96% of our students live within a 10-minute walk of each other. Yes?
Do you have a program where you can transfer from American school to Canada? Or?
Yes. So that all depends on grades. So you can transfer credits from an American college to Canadian college, providing that the course fits in the course description and that your grades are appropriate. So like nothing C or below cannot transfer, even if you got a pass.
Okay.
But if you have above that, then that transfers.
And like, your nursing program, do you have a nursing program or?
We don't. We have health science.
Okay.
But there are schools that do have it, but that's a tough one because again, that's government regulated in terms of nursing, and you know what, nursing is the most common thing I am asked at college fairs. Do you have nursing? There's going to be a lot of nurses, and we need every single good nurse we can get, no question. Any other questions? Yes.
Do people typically complete their degree in 4 years?
Yes, and actually I was sent to California last year because in California their schools are so impacted that they can't guarantee their students graduating in 4 years. So I think the average is about 5, but I think it would be like 4.5 or something like that. How many years did it take you?
Really going to ask me that?
Yes. On the spot.
I finished my degree in 4 years, but I did stay a 5th year because I was coaching with the women's basketball team at the time,
Yeah.
so I did a double major and stayed a 5th year.
And our son finished in 4 years, and then he went on to graduate school. Yes?
Does the school have a graduate program?
We do, just in about 3 programs in physics, computer science, and education. We specialize in 18 to 22-year-olds. That's our thing. That's what we hang our hat on. And that's another good question that you asked, because you have to be careful. When you look at rankings and you read publications that rank, you have to figure out what is this institution hanging their hat on? What is their specialty? And some of the top schools in the world are research-based. Well, at some of those schools, you're not going to be able to do the research because their graduate students do the research, not the undergraduate students. That's our strength. At our science program, in our pre-med, and we are associated with a teaching hospital, our students can do research from their first year with their professors. They don't have to wait in line. And that's also peculiar to any small college. At any small school, the door will be open, and you will not have a lot of lineups. Anything else that I can share with you while I'm here? Yeah?
Sorry,
Keep asking.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, don't be sorry. You're good. You're like,
Also, so you said it's not on the Comnac, so we go to your website, just the www.gobishops.ca,
Yes.
and we just like.
and then you go to apply. You know that card that you have? Can you just hold that up? You know what you just did? Let me It's Ellie. You just filled out the first page of our application, just like this. Here's what happens with these cards. We get this information. We put this into our system. Every 3 weeks you will be getting some information from us on email, telling you about our open house, telling you about the speakers we have coming in, telling you about the special activities going on campus. Plus it goes into our system and you are already in the system. So when you do click the button to apply, the first page is there with this information. That's what this is. And if you don't want to get information, you just tell us and we won't send you. But that's the way it is. Yes?
I'm not really sure how the immigration policy is in Canada, but does being a student in Canada increase your chances of maybe
Fast tracking.
Yeah.
Absolutely it does, especially we give you 3 years after graduation to stay and to help fast track if that's what you want to do.
So it is.
And some students actually choose to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I haven't said, and if any of you actually have citizenship, and it does happen that somebody's mom or dad were a citizen of Canada, and they can apply for their children to be citizens as well, you would be paying Canadian tuition, which is much, much lower than the numbers I've talked to you about. But it may not apply. And the other thing, let me tell you something about this. We live, Quebec, where our school is, it's a French place. We're an English school in a French place. Yeah, it's 1 out of every 4 students at our school can speak French. Most can't. But it's a wonderful place to learn because we are surrounded by a French community, by a French city. If anybody takes a French course or takes a minor in French or an honors program, they would pay Quebec tuition rates for those courses only, which is about $500 Canadian a course if you took a French course. It's like giving it away. And that's because our government wants to encourage students to study that language.
In the town, do most people speak French? Or is it
In our town itself, it's bilingual, it's English and French. When you leave 5 miles away, it's predominantly French. However, because we're so close to the U.S., we're 39 miles from the U.S., those French people have a lot of opportunities to go and interact with Americans. So we have 3 cultures right around us. We have English culture, French culture, and American culture. And we have students that go for 4 years. How good is your French, Peter?
Now, pretty bad. But at the
Okay.
time, I would consider myself bilingual. while I was there.
You were bilingual then, but there's a lot of kids that can't speak French, and it doesn't matter. Our instruction is in English. We have 3 English schools in Quebec. The other ones are French. So there's McGill in Montreal, Concordia in Montreal, and Bishops in Sherbooke. Those are the 3 English schools. And then, of course, throughout the country, they're all English. What languages do you teach here? What languages do kids learn here? Spanish?
Of course, and French.
Spanish and French.
We have Latin.
And Latin. Okay. One of our students from Maine had a great school, Shepherd's High School. A terrific college counselor. Came to our school and to study history and languages and classics. And we do offer Latin. And we offer something called BEST, Bishop's Experiential Service Term. What those are bursaries. If you are a top-notch student and you have a passion about something, wanting to act, wanting to do physics or computers, wanting to do environmental science or something, you can apply for this bursary, and through the very generous donation of our top alumnus, you can get $7,000 in the summer to go and do whatever it is you want to do. This particular person, his name is Scott, went to Rome and he studied Latin. So that's because he wants to go to Kentucky and teach Latin. Okay, that's it. That's the story. That's what he told me anyways.
I think folks here in Augusta probably need to know a little bit more about the weather.
The weather.
That might be important.
The weather. We have 4 seasons in Canada. We have 4 seasons in Quebec. It gets cold in the winter. We have snow, but you can dress for it. You know, it's if you're a young lady here just think of possibilities about enhancing your wardrobe, boots, coats, scarves, everything fashionable. You know what? Skis. It gets cold, but we have warm falls, and spring is very, very short, and our summers are hot and humid. This Christmas Eve, it was 64 degrees. This Christmas Eve, it was 64 degrees, and my lawn was green. It was an anomaly. It's not usually like that.
It was 80 here.
Yeah.
What about visits? If anybody wanted to come visit school for a weekend, or how does that?
For a weekend. So again, by filling out that card, and if you have it and you would like to, please do that, and I can stick around and take that from you. By filling out that card, we will invite you to visit, and we offer personalized visits. We don't do group tours that you would find at many schools. We do it one-for-one, so it would be you, your family, and a student ambassador. You would go around for 1 hour, then you would be able to meet with the department head of what you want to study. You could sit in on a class if you come during the week, and then the last thing, you would eat in our cafeteria and see what the food was like. And it was ranked second best in the country. Yes?
Yeah, we should expect the metric system if we go to school.
You're right, because in terms of, in some things, and you know, it's a hybrid because we talk in inches and yards, and some people do. I don't know centimeters, but I know temperature. So today, what was the temperature here?
We got, what, low 60s? 62 maybe?
62.
Let's say 60 degrees.
So that's 15 degrees Celsius. 15 degrees Celsius is 60 degrees Fahrenheit. If I can learn it, you can. Yes?
What are other good ways to show we're interested if we can't visit besides just filling out this card?
Great question again. You're hitting a spot on. You know, there's webinars that you can go on. We offer webinars where you can actually talk to a recruiter. You can. There are virtual tours, so you can go on, get on the Facebook page of students. Pardon me? You know, if you don't do that, fine. You take my business card and you write me an email and you say, please connect me with somebody my age. And I will contact one of our students, because we know our students by name and they know us by name. And I'll say, hey, would you write to Ellie? Because Ellie's got some questions and stuff like that. Yes?
Back to the...
You don't do Facebook? Okay.
Talk to that guy over there.
Oh.
With the French courses, are all of your courses available in French and English, or
No,
just some?
no. So it's an English school, it's taught in English, but we have a French department.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes?
So if you wanted to like bring your car up there, what would you like do about that?
It's an American question.
Oh, that's fine.
It doesn't matter in Canada. You want to bring your car, bring two. Like it really doesn't matter. And the age, also the legal age is different. It's 18 in Quebec, so it's a little bit more liberal. That's a problem sometimes with some kids. But you know what? It's about making choices, and it's about having good values. And it's also a time of sometimes making mistakes and learning from them. So.
Would you have to apply for like a Canadian driver's license when you guys?
No. We have U.S. license plates, and we drive the same side of the road you do. You would have to, my man over here was right, you would have to know what kilometers are as opposed to miles per hour. You see, when you go into our car, we can give you a crash course. 100 kilometers, 60 miles an hour equals 100 kilometers an hour. So it's a difference. So it's not close enough. I wouldn't be doing that. I'd be getting in trouble.
That was my fault.
Okay. Anything else?
Does an American applicant look any different? Is the application blind, or would an American applicant look more appealing in order to make the student body more diverse?
Yeah, you know what? We don't play games. Like, that's the one thing we don't do. There's a lot of statistics that we don't take just because we don't get involved in that. Sometimes I wish we would be competitive that way and do, but no, they don't. It's quantitative. It's quantitative. That's what it is.
Requirements for admission. So like, grades and, like you said, 11 and 12?
We look for, from high school, oh, I didn't mention that. We look for a B+ average, and generally a student that's got a B+ will be assured of getting into the program of their choice. If they have a little bit less than that, we will look at what it is they want to study and why they don't have a B+, because some English majors might not be very good in math, and if their math grade is bringing them down, that kind of works in their favor. The other thing that we just started, and this is kind of exciting, and you have this in the States, we don't have this in Canada. It's called the program's called Academic Success Archway Program. What that means is, if you are a student that's on the bubble of getting in, and maybe you're just a little bit below, but we're your #1 school, we will invite you to come at a cost, but it's not that much, 1 week early to boot camp school, which is you learn how to do time management, note-taking, how to research in the library, how to network, how to do all those things. And we had 28 students come this past fall. It was the first year. We had 6 American students, and they get started off on the right foot, and it's very popular. Again, this is something that goes on in U.S. schools, but not in Canadian schools. Yes?
I know your test optional, but of your students who are submitting scores, what is?
We look for, then we would be looking for scores of 1650 cumulative or 23 on the ACT. And I don't know how that's like.
Well, it's going back to the 1600 scale, so that 1650 is on 2400.
Yeah, is that like decent or?
So a 23 on the ACT, well, it's at a 36, but on a 23 would be around 1050 SAT of 1600.
That's on 2.
Mhm.
Yes, that's right, yeah. And of course, there's schools that are much more competitive than that, but again, we don't get that many applications. Like, we don't play games in terms of, telling people to, oh yeah, apply to our school, and then our admissions people will say, well, let's not accept that person so that our stats look really, really good. No, if you have the grades, apply to our school, and chances are you'll be accepted into the program. We accept about 70% of our applicants. I do know that. It's a fair number.
And you mentioned 60 countries that are represented. Roughly how many Americans are on campus right now?
4% of our student body. So there's about 100 U.S. kids out of 2,400 on campus. And it's hard because U.S. kids, they look south. They don't look north. But you know what? It's amazing. You're renting 4 years. You don't have to buy. It's 4 years that you do something different with your life, and you have the rest of your life to go down south. Okay. So on that note, we're going to wrap it up. We're finishing right at 7 o'clock. Thank you so much, and good luck with all your decisions. And no matter what you choose, you're going to be choosing a really, really good school. You're pretty lucky. Thank you.
Thank you.